And I want you to remember, this is from my granddaughter, Chrisette, who is only 10 years old. This is what she says. Hi, Grammy. I know how hard it is without Uncle Herman, so I thought I could help by writing a letter to you. Uncle Herman not being here is tough on all of us, but the most important thing is remembering the memories that we made with him. I loved him being there for birthdays and Christmas, even though he had no wrapping paper. He would wrap the gifts in his love, and it showed that he cared for us. God placed him in our lives so that we can say that he was a blessing to family and the people that he had made memories with. You should never be ashamed to cry because it shows how much you care for him.
Welcome to Get Real with Alexis Jones. On this podcast, we'll dive into real relationships with real people guided by the wisdom and perspective of some of the most seasoned voices in our community, our beloved seniors. Each week, we'll unpack the joys, challenges, and lessons learned about love, family, friendship, and everything in between. This is a space for heartfelt conversations, eye-opening truths, and powerful stories that will inspire and challenge the way you think about relationships. We're keeping it honest, unfiltered, and deeply meaningful. So settle in and let's get ready to get real. Let's jump in.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Get Real with Alexis. I'm Alexis, and I'm your host, and I am so glad to be with you on this Monday evening. It's late Monday evening, the day after Mother's Day. I don't normally record this time of night. It's just about bedtime for me, but I was reflecting about yesterday, Mother's Day, and I really just wanted to share with you some things that I discovered, some beautiful things, some difficult things. And so let me just share from my heart tonight. It's late. It's time for me to go to sleep, but I want to share some things with you. Here's a question. Can grief and joy exist at the same time? What do you think? So I was thinking about that in terms of Mother's Day. Mother's Day can be beautiful and painful when you have suffered a loss, especially the loss of a parent or the loss of a child, in my case. Sometimes grief and joy coexist at the same time. So for those of you who have lost a child, holidays are no longer just simply calendar dates. They require emotional preparation. And if you're going through this, you know exactly what I mean. They require intentionality and decisions. They require grace for ourselves when emotions arise unexpectedly. Before grief entered my life this way, I never understood how much energy it takes just to make it through a special day. People see flowers, dinners, church services, smiling pictures and celebrations. But behind the scenes, many grieving mothers are quietly preparing their hearts for emotional landmines. So today, I want to talk honestly, and I always do that with you. I'm very authentic. I'm very transparent, not because I like you to know everything about me, because I know that I am not alone in my journey, whatever that journey is. My journey of grief, I know that if you suffered a loss, you're going through it too. So I want to share my journey with you in hopes that it might provide some hope, especially, and some insight. So I'm not sharing tonight from a place of hopelessness, but from a place of truth, because healing does not mean the absence of pain, does not mean pain no longer exists. In fact, healing means learning how to carry love and loss together. So this Mother's Day, I had to think ahead. I reflect back when the Christmas holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays were approaching. And I had this dread in my heart, like, how am I going to get through these holidays in peace? What do I need to do? And so those same questions resurfaced as Mother's Day was approaching this year. I had to ask myself, what do I need? What can I handle? Who do I need to be around me? What will help me feel connected instead of being isolated? And I also realized something really important this time. The people who love us often worry about us deeply during these holiday seasons and special events. They may not know what to say, and they fear saying the wrong thing, but many are carrying a concern quietly in their hearts and in their spirits. So today's conversation is for grieving mothers, for grieving parents, for families and friends of those who are grieving, and for anyone trying to navigate holidays after loss. Because with intentional care, with honesty and love, even a difficult day can still hold beauty. So I want to talk about the holiday change after the loss, how the holidays change, rather, after loss. Holidays become emotional landmarks. Anticipation can sometimes feel harder than the actual day because you're thinking about this day that's coming up. It's Mother's Day, and I have this loss. I lost a mom. I lost my daughter. I lost my son. There is loss that makes you think about, what am I going to do when that day arrives? How am I going to feel? How can I get through this experience? And so that's what I mean when I say holidays are no longer just dates on the calendar. Family events are no longer dates on the calendar. I have to ask these questions and I have to figure out, what am I going to do? Now, I always say my experience may not be your experience. So all I can do, I'm not speaking as an expert on grief, although I have spoken to experts on grief, but I am really sharing my own experiences with you. So those days leading up to the special occasion or the holiday or their family event, those days leading up to can really feel quite difficult. Memories surface everywhere. Music, photos, traditions, certain foods, church services, social media posts. Grief is not starting over. It simply shows up differently. So I've learned that grief doesn't ask permission before entering the room, does it? Grief does not ask my permission. Alexis, is it a good time for me to show up? How you feeling today? Can you handle it? It just shows up. It blindsides you. It can blindside you in varying degrees at any given moment. So why does pre-planning matter for holidays and special occasions? So I want to talk about how holidays require this emotional strategy. For example, deciding where to go and for how long. Do I go? Do I not go? If I go, how long should I stay? All those questions arise. Giving yourself permission to leave early so you don't feel stuck. If you do decide to go, you have the option of leaving early without guilt. You have permission to do that. And so planning those moments of rest is important. It's important to rest before you tackle one of these events, holidays or family gatherings or whatever it is that you're anticipating. It's important to choose supportive people, deciding whether to continue a tradition or to create new ones. Those are some of the things you have to think about. In other words, how can you feel safe? That's the basic question that I ask myself. Alexis, what would it take? What does it take for you to feel safe in this moment or at that event or with that event coming up? And it doesn't have to make sense to everyone, but find someone you trust who will listen as you kind of think it through or feel it through. I no longer just enter holidays emotionally unprepared. I prepare my heart. I prepare my heart the same way you prepare for a storm. You know how you get those tornado warnings and how to take cover. It's coming. That's how I feel when special holidays or special events are coming up. Avoiding the pain may not be realistic. So I'm not planning or pre-planning to avoid pain, but I am planning to find a peace where I can land. I want peace. I want to be at peace with whatever I choose to do at that time on that day. And it's really important, I learned, to take care of yourself. Some practical self-care for grieving, for those who are grieving and have suffered a loss. Rest before emotionally demanding days. Avoid overcommitting. It's okay to just say no, or it's okay to say, let me get back with you. It's okay to give yourself that buffer to decide what it is you need and what it is you need to do and what decision you need to make. And you may not have thought about this, but staying hydrated and nourished during this time is really important. And you have permission to step away when you feel overwhelmed. Journal or pray beforehand. Create space to remember your child if that's your loss. Create space to remember those that you've lost intentionally. Allow tears without shame. There's no shame in tears. I'm going to share something in a few minutes that my granddaughter shared with me about tears. Sometimes strength looks like staying. Sometimes strength looks like stepping outside to breathe. Let me say it this way. Strength cannot be defined by other people for you. You know how people say, well-intentioned people who care about you say, be strong. And they kind of have a definition in their mind of what strength looks like. Nobody can define strength for you. They should not be allowed to label you as being strong or not strong. If they are given this power, what happens is you end up trying to act or become what other people consider acceptable. And that's dangerous. They are not in your shoes, so they don't know what they would do if they were. I also found that helping others know how to support you is critical because we often complain, those of us who have suffered loss, why would they say that? Why don't they do this? Why don't they just? Because they often don't know what to do or what to say. So it's okay for you to help those who want to support you by telling them what do you need? What do you want? What would help you in this moment? Because people who love you often feel helpless. They want to make you feel better. They really would like to make your hurt go away, or at least to support you in it. They want to give you what you need, but they don't know how unless we tell them. And this can be tricky. This can be tricky because we often don't know what we need ourselves. I ask myself this question, Alexis, what do you need in this moment? And I have to think about that because sometimes I don't know what I need. Do I need quiet time? Do I need to just be alone? Or do I need to push myself and get out among people or something in between? Sometimes I'm not quite sure what it is I need. But you can talk that through with people that you love and trust and people that want to support you. And then the thing is this, every occasion, every situation could require something different. So my suggestions are these. Tell people what helps. Tell people that are close to you. I told people that are close to me, I just want your presence. I don't want you to try to find the right words to say. I just need your presence. You can just sit next to me on the sofa. You can pass me a Kleenex if you want to, if I feel like crying. Or we can watch a movie together. Can we just sit in silence together and I just feel your presence? You know, I visited a really dear friend who recently passed away. She was the mother of my son's best friend. And I went to visit her when she was in the hospital. And I was busy trying to do things for her. It's almost synonymous to what we do when somebody has suffered a loss, because she had suffered a loss. She had suffered the loss of her health, of her independence as she had always known it. And so I was busy trying to, what do you need? You need this? You need me to run down the hall and talk to this doctor? You want me to get the nurse? What do you need? Because I am ready. I've got my track shoes on. I'm ready to go. And at one point during that frantic time, not because of her, because of me, in that moment, she said, Alexis, she waved at me and she said, sit down, sit down, sit down. And immediately I stopped in my tracks, because when Trudy tells you to sit down, you sit down. So I sat down and I listened, and she said, stop. I just want to share some things with you. And she shared some really meaningful things with me that I shared with her son. But at one point, she looked at me and she said, Alexis, go home, go home. I wasn't sure why she told me that. Did she think being there was too much for me? Did she not want to be a bother? I don't know. I don't know for sure. But I said to her, Trudy, I just want to sit here with you. We don't have to talk or anything. I just want to sit here with you. And she said something to me that I shared with my son and her son that changed me. She said 3 words: ministry of presence, ministry of presence. It hit me like a ton of bricks. It's what I've been trying to communicate. Being present with someone who is hurting, who is grieving, who has suffered loss, whatever that loss is, just being present and not feeling a need to fix something or say something to fix the situation to make you feel better. You don't have to do that. Just be present. Just be present. And that's what she shared with me. That's what she taught me. And that's what I've shared with people who care about me, who don't know what to say and don't know what to do. There were people who knew that Mother's Day was going to be difficult for me. I had no idea that they were thinking of me in those terms, because I got cards or texts or phone calls and said, Alexis, I'm thinking about you. And one of my neighbors, who is so empathetic, sent me a text message saying, I know this day is hard for you. And so they don't know what to say, but just acknowledging that I know it's Mother's Day and I know this is going to be a difficult day for you. It gave me so much comfort that you see me. You see me. You may not have on my shoes, but you can imagine what this feels like on this day. So just being there, may not feel like talking, or maybe I will, maybe I won't, maybe you will, maybe you won't, but just being present with someone who loves you, cares about you, and wants to support you. Give them permission to say your child's name. People are often afraid to say Herman's name. One loving relative said to me, I don't want to bring up the topic because I don't want to make you feel bad. Well, not talking about Herman and the fact that he's gone doesn't make me feel better. We can't sweep the whole incident under the rug, which is what it feels like. You're asking me to act like it didn't happen. And my heart reminds me daily that it did. So don't sweep it under the rug. Let's talk about Herman. Let's talk about what he did and how you remember him and funny things he did, or the way he played his viola, or the things he did at Christmas, or whatever the memories are. And in your case, I want to talk about your loss, the person that you lost, that you love. Who are they? What do you think about? What memories did they leave you with? What's the legacy they left you with? How did this loss affect your life? I want to talk about that if that's what you want to talk about. And most times I do. In fact, saying Herman's name fills me with joy. Now, I may cry. I just might cry, but I love hearing his name. If this reflects your feelings, let people know. Let people know. And don't let them shut you down from saying your loved one's name. Say it and say it often. So you'll have to choose people who will allow you to grieve and heal freely. Let trusted people in. Let people in. Don't pretend like nothing's happened. Don't be strong. Be real and let people in. You'll have to pick and choose who those people are that you decide to let in, but let people in and accept support without guilt. People don't always know what grieving mothers need or what grieving people need. Sometimes we have to teach them, and we should teach them gently without judgment or criticism. Why would you say that? Sometimes people just don't know what to say. I remember, and I think I shared this on an earlier podcast. I was in the elevator. I live in a condominium building, and so there's elevators, and I was in the elevator with one of my neighbors, and she wanted to express sympathy and condolences, and she just didn't know how. So she asked me something, maybe something like, well, how are you doing? That was a standard question that you get. And I have a habit of not saying fine or I'm doing good when I'm not. I just don't want to. I just say what I feel. I'm struggling today, or today's a good day. Today I'm struggling, whatever it is. And a lot of people don't expect that. And it's hard to handle that because people usually need you to say, I'm doing well, even if you're not. So I said something like, today was a difficult day. And her response to me was, but you have another son, don't you? And it sounded like, well, I know you lost a son, but you got one left. So what's the problem? I'm sure she didn't mean it like that. I'm sure she didn't. But I was so upset. I was frozen. It froze me in my tracks. I don't even remember getting from the elevator to my unit. But I decided to text her, and I told her how hurtful that was, and that if I had 10 children and lost one, I would still feel the same pain as I feel now. And she apologized and said, Alexis, I just don't know what to say or do in these situations. And that's how a lot of people are. They really don't know what to say. And it's okay for us to help them gently. Give people grace. Now, the other thing I want to share with you is this surprise of beauty, because I want to get to what made my Mother's Day a beautiful day. I want to take a little time to describe this beautiful Mother's Day that I had for a mom who had lost her precious son just over a year ago. It was an unexpected, beautiful day. It was a day that I will never forget, and I will reflect on during those difficult times that I will encounter. So I want to talk about that by starting with a Wednesday conversation that I had with my younger son, Brandon. So Brandon and I try to spend time together. We're really intentional and committed to this time. Wednesday morning seems to be a good time that we can get together without disrupting his schedule or mine. He's busier than I am because he's got a wife and he's got 4 children. That's a busy family. But Wednesday mornings seem to be a good time for us. And so we decided, first we tried every Wednesday, and that became a little difficult. So we decided at least twice a month. If we could do more, we would do more. But Wednesday mornings. And so this Wednesday before Mother's Day, Brandon came over and we sat and we had breakfast, and we always talk from the heart. I love this gift of authenticity, this gift of being honest that we have with each other. No matter how difficult that honesty may feel, we've made a commitment that we will say what's on our hearts. And so we have conversation, and I knew he was thinking about Mother's Day and what to do because he has a wife who has a family. Her parents are still with us, and this was the time they were planning on spending Mother's Day with her family, which would have left me alone. And so I knew he was worried about that and wondering what can he do, because you can't clone yourself. And so I had a conversation with him, and I told him because he wanted to have Mother's Day with me on that Saturday rather than the Sunday. And in his mind, this was okay, but I told him I understood what he was trying to do. I told him, I know you love me, Brandon. I have no doubt. And I know you're concerned about this Mother's Day. But here's what I want you to know, because I know you understand, because we've talked about it many times, what I'm going through. And I think I understand what he's going through, although he doesn't share as often as I do. That's just kind of how men and women grieve differently. And there's a difference between losing a son and losing a brother, but it's still a significant traumatic loss. Anyway, I said to him, I know you think that getting together on Saturday for Mother's Day is not really that different from getting together on Sunday. But imagine I get up on Sunday morning and I go to church alone and I come home alone. And at church, everybody's talking about mothers, and mothers stand up and how pretty the mothers look today. And mothers are sitting with their children who never come to church, or spouses. It's a big deal, Mother's Day. There are people who only come to church with their mothers or their wives on Mother's Day. It's a big deal. And so I go alone, I come alone, and I eat alone. Unless I choose to do something different, that is. But anyway, I was trying to explain to him, Saturday is not the same as Mother's Day. However, I know you have obligations. I know there's decisions that you have to make, tough decisions. So here's what I'm offering. Your day is filled on Saturday already because his son plays soccer. They had soccer games on Saturday, and they had a rite of passage, a beautiful ceremony for children who are turning 13 at his church. That was for my grandson. So it was going to be a pretty packed day for them. So I suggested to him, if we can't be together on Mother's Day, let's just choose another day where you're more available. Let's just do that. So that's what we decided to do. And I was okay with that because I wanted my son to be okay. We want people in our lives who can't fix us or fix the situation or hand us a perfect solution to be okay, because we love them, So we have to help them. We have to compromise. And I said to him, Brandon, love means sacrifice. So I don't want this to hover over you. I don't want you feeling badly about it or guilty about it. But here's what I'm offering. Let's just do it. If we can't do it Sunday, on the day, let's do another day. So that's what we decided. And so I was bracing myself, preparing myself to handle Mother's Day by myself without holding my son hostage, because we can do that. That is wrong. So what happened? Saturday came, and then Sunday morning, and I had made some decisions. I decided I don't want to go to church alone. I don't want to sit alone, not this Sunday. And so I think I'm going to stay here and be kind of quiet today, and maybe I'll watch the service on my Zoom. That's what I had decided to do. So I had found peace with that. And about 8 o'clock Sunday morning, Brandon called me and he said, Mom, how about I pick you up? We go to JoJo's soccer game, then we go to church, and I take you out to dinner. Now, I had questions running through my mind like, what happened? But I didn't do that. I just said, okay. I was so happy. I was surprised. I was bewildered. I was shocked and elated at the same time. So I said, okay. And all of a sudden, I got all this energy and all this joy. And I got up and I put clothes on to go to the soccer field to see my grandson play. And a long story short, we spent the day together, just he and I. And it was beautiful. I got a chance to spend some time with his family, particularly my grandchildren, and it was an amazing day. It was a phone call that changed everything. And what I did was what women typically don't do, and that is to go with the flow. What I told Brandon, because they had some glitches during the day, there was an unexpected additional game that day, because JoJo's team made the finals. And so everything had to shift. And I decided I didn't want to be a burden on my son. And I said, I'm just going with the flow. Whatever you decide to do, let's just do that. I had on a shirt, a T-shirt that I had made with Herman's photo on it and his birthday. So I wore that shirt all day long, and I wore it proudly. And so I want to share something with you. Before we went to church, we stopped by Brandon's house, and my 10-year-old granddaughter, Chrisette, said, "Grammy, I've written a letter for you, and it's a pretty lengthy letter. You can see that. It's a full-page letter, small writing, and I want to share this with you. And I want you to remember this is from my granddaughter, Chrisette, who is only 10 years old. This is what she says. Hi, Grammy. I know how hard it is without Uncle Herman, so I thought I could help by writing a letter to you. Uncle Herman not being here is tough on all of us, but the most important thing is remembering the memories that we made with him. I loved him being there for birthdays and Christmas. Even though he had no wrapping paper, he would wrap the gifts in his love, and it showed that he cared for us. God placed him in our lives so that we can say that he was a blessing to family and the people that he had made memories with. You should never be ashamed to cry because it shows how much you care for him. And the best thing to know is that he loves you back, and his comfort will help you with many things, such as getting through holidays without him. Nobody thought that they would hear the news that he had passed, and it was devastating. Normally, you would think that Uncle Herman is not with us, but before he passed, he came to visit. But he wasn't always there. But now he has passed, and he is always there for you. And you can talk to him anytime, like how you can talk to God about these things, and he will always answer your prayers. The great Lord loves you. Yours truly, Chrisette Jones. Can you believe a 10-year-old wrote that? I asked my granddaughter, I said, did anybody help you with that letter? And she said, no. And when I read it out loud, Brandon had never heard it. Nobody helped her with that letter. She wrote this. It's so meaningful, and it's so unusual for a 10-year-old. Well, she even starts with, I know how hard it is without Herman on this Mother's Day holiday. So she looked at me as I was reading the letter, and it's like, okay, Grammy's going to cry. That's the way that was the look she gave me. And I looked back at her and I said, you think I'm going to cry, don't you? And she didn't say anything. She just looked at me. And so in a few moments, I said, okay, go get the tissue, because I started crying. It was such a beautiful letter. I told her I was going to frame it, and I am. So I entered the day cautiously. I entered the day at peace, knowing that this is just the way it is going to be today. But somewhere between the tears and the love, beauty found me. Beauty found me. Can we hold grief and gratitude, pain and joy at the same time? Yes, we can. Missing my son Herman does not cancel gratitude. Missing my son Herman does not cancel pain and grief, nor for you does it cancel. Smiling doesn't mean forgetting. Joy is not betrayal. And I say that because when Herman first passed away, I dare not smile. I don't deserve to smile. How can I smile after suffering such a traumatic loss? But joy is not betrayal. Smiling doesn't mean I've forgotten. Love still remains. I miss him every moment of every day. And I am learning that grief and gratitude can sit at the same table. I'm also learning that grief and joy can sit at the same table. I feel a bit schizophrenic at times, but grief and joy, pain and joy can somehow coexist. One does not cancel out the other. There's a scripture I want to share, a couple of them before we close. One of them is Psalm 34:8. I'm going to read this. It says, the Lord is close. It's just the first bit of it. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. When our hearts are broken, God draws us closer to him. If you will allow him, you will feel his presence. Some way and somehow you will feel the comfort that he offers. Sometimes that comfort comes through other people, but he will be close to you in your season of brokenheartedness. He will hold you close, even if it means sending an unexpected person, unexpected situation, your friend, your son, unexpected phone calls or messages, and a letter from a 10-year-old granddaughter who wrote it straight from her great, big, loving heart. The other scripture I want to share is, to everything there's a season. That's Ecclesiastes 3:1. We all go through seasons in our lives. I wish they could all be sunny days and days where the wind is just right and the temperature is ideal. It's not too hot, it's not too cold, but we are in seasons in life. But there's seasons, and we can make it through these seasons in life, but we have to do it with support. We are not created to live in isolation all the time. There are times when we want to be alone. That's okay. But to be isolated all the time, every day, we're not created to do life alone. We need each other. And then another scripture I want to share is 2 Corinthians 1, chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. God comforts us so that we can comfort others. That's how it works. That's why we can't do life alone. He gives me comfort. That's why I'm doing the podcast. That's why I do what I do in other areas of my life. I teach line dance, but you know what's more important to me than teaching steps to a dance is pouring into the lives of seniors, giving them joy for that moment, giving them a safe place for that hour, giving them hope for that day. Whatever I do, I am pouring into them. So as God pours into me, I have a responsibility to pour into others. I've experienced opportunities to bring comfort and joy to others, and with passion, because I understand loss. I understand it now from my own perspective, from my own experience. I understood the loss of my mom. That was, as my granddaughter said, it was devastating. Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. I was in denial when the doctors told me that she would not make it home. My next question to the doctor was, when did you say she was coming home? I could not even hear that she wasn't coming home. I understand the loss of parents. I've lost both of mine. I know the loss of a sibling. I lost my older brother, and now I've experienced the loss of a child. And so I can speak with passion from my own experience. I've shared my tears with you. I've shared my struggles with you. I've shared my anger with you. And I'm also wanting to share my hope with you. We can get through this if we allow God to draw us closer and to put the people and the situations in our lives that we need at any given moment, because we do this a moment at a time. I don't even know if I can do a day at a time. Maybe I'll grow to that, but right now, moment by moment. And some moments are harder than others. But because God has brought me through difficult moments, I know he will bring me through the difficult moments to come. And he will do that with you as well, if you trust him. So if you are listening tonight, it is late. It is late. If you're listening tonight and you are grieving a child, a mother, a father, a spouse, or anyone deeply loved, I want you to know this. There's no perfect way to survive the holidays after loss. There's no perfect way. Some years will feel heavier than others. Some moments will catch you off guard. Some celebrations may never feel the same again. Some celebrations you may never be able to do that way again. But even in grief, love still speaks, sometimes through memories, sometimes through people who show up, sometimes through quiet moments when God gently reminds us that we are not alone. This Mother's Day taught me that preparation matters, self-care matters, and tenderness matters. I miss my son deeply. That didn't change. But what also became true is this: the day still held beauty for me, more beauty than I ever imagined or expected. The day still held love, so much love. And somehow, by the grace of God, my heart held both. And maybe that is what healing begins to look like. Not forgetting, not moving on. There's no moving on. Don't ask me, haven't you moved on? No. You will ask me this in 20 years and I will give you the same response. There's no moving on, but learning how to carry love forward while honoring the ache that remains. So to every grieving heart today, to everyone listening who has suffered loss, be gentle with yourself. Plan ahead for these holidays and special occasions. Give them some thought. Decide what it is you need and be okay with that. Even if other people are not, ask for support. Get the help that you need. Speak your loved one's name and speak it often. And leave room for unexpected beauty. Because even after deep loss, light still finds its way in. So I'll end with one of my favorite scriptures. Again, just the first little part, because this was my experience yesterday, my Mother's Day. And it comes from Ephesians 3:20. Now to him, that is God, who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask, think, or even imagine. Mother's Day was that for me. It was something that God did for me that was exceeding abundance, that was above anything that I asked for or thought about or even imagined in my wildest dreams. It was a Mother's Day that was beautiful and unexpected, and I am grateful. And I'll continue to take that one day, that one moment in time, and I'll cherish it forever. So I hope that I've said something to encourage you and enlighten you during this time. Will you please like, comment, share, and hit that bell so that you can get notifications of new content? Because I promise you, everything that I decide to share with you is designed to speak into your life. I want what God wants for you. I want you to live your best life. I want you to experience joy even though you carry pain. I want beautiful things to happen to you in the midst of all the difficult things that you are facing. Beauty and light can still find its way in there. And that's what I want for you. And that's what I want for me. So I'm Alexis. This is Get Real with Alexis. I will always be real with you. And my name is Alexis, and I will see you next time. Take care and good night. I am going to bed now.